Hi everyone, my name is Jo Marie de Jager, and today we are going to be talking a little bit about static electricity, the movement of protons and electrons, as well as just be doing something a little bit fun with a balloon. So before we get started, there's some things we need to cover, and one of these concepts is actually that most materials that we encounter on the daily basis are composed of molecules and atoms that have negatively charged electrons and positively charged protons. Generally, all material that we can physically touch will be in a balanced electrical state. And what this means, and for instance, just the Sharpie pen that I'm holding in my hand, contains positive and negative charges, but they are equal, meaning that there is no net charge. But in this experiment, we're going to attempt to separate salt and pepper from being mixed together by unbalancing or neutralizing two objects. So what we do know about substances is that they have the ability to gain and to lose electrons, meaning that they can become more positively charged and they can become more negatively charged. Static electricity is basically defined as the buildup of electrical charges on the surface of an object, which occurs when the electrons actually gets pulled from the surface of one mineral or object and is relocated to the surface of another. It is also important to note that minerals are more willing, some materials, are willing to give their electrons away more easily than others, while you get also material or objects that are more dependent on gaining electrons than others. Also, it is good to know that positively charged objects will attract to negatively charged objects, while negatively charged objects cannot attract to negative, and they will actually repel one another. So, to get started with the experiment, we are going to need a plate, which just your standard plate. We are going to need a salt and pepper mixture, which I already have mixed in this little container. You will need a balloon, which is right here, and you will also need hair or a sweater. So a lot of the times, if you have short hair or your hair doesn't seem to be working well, you can actually rub it off on the sweater and you will have the same result. So to get started, we are going to take our mixture, if I can get it open, and we are going to throw it on our plate. And let me go ahead and show you here. We're going to be throwing it on our plate, mixing it around so it's nice and evenly spread as much as we can. The balloon, then we will use, and we will actually give it a charge. So when you get started, the balloon will actually be in a neutral state. So it is in a neutral state. That's what I wanted to say. And what we're going to do is we're going to rub it against our hair in order to give it a charge. So let me go ahead and give it a charge real quick. So one thing you need to notice, and I'll see if I can get that to you. So what you should observe once you put the balloon close to the salt and pepper is that the positively charged pepper will actually jump or stick to the balloon as you're moving it around, while leaving the salt behind. If you move the balloon too close, however, it will also allow the salt to jump and stick. So you have to remember that the closer the balloon, the stronger the attraction. So for better separation between the two, be sure you keep your distance relatively in the middle. Let's see if I can get that off. So as we see, it does work, and you can also hear a little bit of jumping and crackling throughout the experiment. So why do small objects that have no net electrical charge attract to the balloon? And that is a question that I kind of was pondering on before starting this experiment. And the answer to that question is electrical polarity. So when you charge up the balloon with your hair, which is what you guys noticed me doing, and place it close to the salt and pepper mixture, what actually happens is it becomes electrically polarized. The electrons will move according to the force that is applied to it by the charged balloon, like I mentioned in the definition of static electricity. It is just a good thing to remember as well when you're doing this experiment that gravity does also affect this experiment in terms of the mass of the pepper grains. So oftentimes pepper grains will be a little bit smaller than salt, meaning that it will have a lighter mass to it. If you put it together, oftentimes it's easier for pepper to stick on the balloon. The more likely, so the lighter your material that you're using, the more likely it will be for it to attract to the balloon. So this experiment can be done with several other things to separate, and I look forward to try some of them. But I hope you guys have a great day and have a good weekend.